Oh, it is. It is a Friday episode. Friday, guys. What are we drinking? Happy hour. Hope you guys spend your happy hour at the quarter deck today. Friday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Whether you're watching this live right now at 1:40 p.m. on Friday, or is that I think you put up the wrong. I mean, I love Dangerous Minds. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they pay me. Dangerous Minds. Tell them to cut a check. Tell them to cut a check to Donno Daily. Oh man, whether you're watching us live, oh that's the one he meant to pull up there, or you watch us later on throughout the weekend. Yeah, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I'm just happy that the great individuals like Ethan Skolnick and Alex Toledo and Brady Hawk and Jonathan Ramlakan, everybody on this network that devotes themselves to Miami Heat coverage. I love the Heat, but I don't put all my eggs in the Heat's basket. I love my Canes, love my Dolphins. We talk a lot of different things on this show. I'm just glad that the great men and women here on our network who devote their lives to covering Heat basketball got to watch something really awesome last night. Heat fans deserved it. We deserved that come from behind 113-107 victory against the Brooklyn Nets. Heat were down as many as 16 points in the first half of that game. After what we had to witness over the course of the final 5 minutes, the previous night in Milwaukee, when the Heat had just a catastrophic collapse. Thank goodness that was the regular season, so I can forget about it. Like, that's the type of game where if that happens in a pivotal, must-win, elimination postseason game, you remember that for the rest of your life. Talk to any San Antonio Spurs fan and ask them how they felt about Game 6 and the Ray Allen shot. And I know they've won plenty of championships over there, but that is a memory that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. Thank goodness this was a regular season game and not a postseason game. And I know my guy, Brooklyn Rob there, yeah, he doesn't want me to talk about the Panthers and mush the Panthers. The Panthers won last night. They broke the slump, 3-game losing skid, 3-0 win last night to smash that against the Ottawa Senators. So that made me really happy. But no, for the Heat last night, a feel-good win in Brooklyn. And the Heat win that game in FTX Arena North. It's pathetic how every time the Heat go into that arena in Brooklyn, New York, the fans there, they support the Heat more than they support their alleged home team. Every time the Heat go up there, you hear the let's go Heat chants at Barclays Center. Like, it's really pathetic, man. I mean, on the one hand, you can say, hey, these Brooklyn basketball fans are not real fans, Fugazi fans. On the other hand, maybe you could just say, you know what? Maybe the people up there in Brooklyn just appreciate good basketball when they see it. And the Miami Heat play good basketball. Crazy to think that Heat versus Nets actually might end up being a first round Eastern Conference playoff series. Because the Nets, obviously, you've had injuries and Kyrie's situation, whatever you want to call it. They've not, had a good year. So this could end up being a 1 versus an 8. But still, you had Kevin Durant's return last night for Brooklyn, and KD, I think, for my money, he's the best player in the NBA, not LeBron. KD, 31 points last night, 10 for 21 shooting in his return. Like, KD was great, and yet a Miami Heat team. Oh, did I just mush the Panthers? Ugh, I'm sorry. But a Miami Heat team last night didn't have Jimmy Butler, didn't have Kyle Lowry, didn't have PJ Tucker. The Heat end up having 4 players combined for 100 points last night. Bam Adebayo, telling you, there's something in the water that Adebayo's been drinking since he came back. And over the last now 12 or 13 games, Adebayo playing the best basketball of his career. 30 points last night, 12 for 15 shooting, 6 of 8 on his free throws yesterday. He led the Heat with 30. You had Tyler Hero with 27 points off the bench. Tyler Hero, by the way, this is my favorite part of Hero's stat line from last night. It's not the 27 points. It's not even the 8 assists. 10 for 10 from the free throw line. My guy Tyler, getting to the line, drawing fouls, making the other team pay. He was fantastic. I'm going to revisit comments that I made even before the regular season started because I'm a geek, so I watched preseason basketball. Hero, this transformation of his into baby goat, like he really started to come out of that cocoon and take on the goat form going back to the preseason. And we did a show on this back in whatever it was, October, before the NBA regular season started. And I said, you know what? If the Heat get this version of Tyler Hero in the regular season, you don't have a big three, you have a big four. Okay, because Hero is in that conversation. Now, this Heat team has been so deep and playing so well. They may have like a big eight at this point because they have so many guys contributing. But Tyler Hero was fantastic last night in his 35 minutes off the bench. Caleb Martin has been one of the best stories of the season. He has 22 points last night on 8 for 11 shooting. Max Strus scored 21 points. And I got to tell you, I'm going to say something nice here about Duncan Robinson, despite the fact that, okay, you want to know how many points Duncan Robinson scored last night? Same as me. He went 0 for 3 from the floor, 0 points last night. However, at least Duncan was able to contribute despite not actually putting the ball in the basket. Had 7 assists yesterday. That's my guy, the $90 million bricklayer. But you know what? I'm going to be nice to Dunk because Duncan Robinson contributed to that win. His plus minus was +3. Every Heat player was in the plus except for Dwayne Dedmon at a -8. But 7 assists last night. Some of those were really, really nice cutting passes. He had a good lob to Adebayo. He had a nice feed, I think, to Tyler Hero for a layup. So I'm not going to clown Duncan today, despite the fact that he bricked all 3 of his shot attempts, didn't score yesterday, and get to the foul line either. He contributed to that victory with a nice assist. So congratulations to Duncan Robinson. So honestly, as we've been saying all freaking season long, next man up mentality. Doesn't seem to matter who's in and who's out. No Jimmy, and Jimmy wasn't very good in Milwaukee. He went like the final 36 minutes of the game without scoring. That wasn't good. No Kyle Lowry, who's been dealing with some personal stuff. I would hope and assume that stuff is going to be behind him by the time the playoffs start. We still got a long time, like 6 weeks before the playoffs start, so I'm not too worried about that, at least not yet. And no PJ Tucker. The Heat are still able to go out there and slow start, tremendous finish, dominate the basketball game. So this team has shown you the depth and the ability to fight through adversity all season long. Now, it's becoming pretty clear now, reports that surfaced yesterday that Victor Oladipo is going to make his season debut Monday against one of his former teams, the Houston Rockets. Now, I think this is coming at a perfect time. Now, I don't know exactly what the status is going to be for Monday's game for Jimmy and Kyle Lowry, but assuming that one or both of them might still be out at that point, that's a really, really nice way to slide Oladipo into the rotation and get him some playing time. I want to see what Victor Oladipo looks like playing alongside Tyler Hero. I think that could end up being a magic combination. And I'm not expecting him to start anytime soon or even weeks from now when he's got his legs. I think Oladipo is going to be a bench option, and the Heat are going to reinforce the idea that they have the deepest bench and the best bench in the NBA. But if Victor Oladipo ends up taking some of Duncan Robinson's minutes, I'm not going to complain too much about that. So he's finally going to be pulled out of cryo sleep. Victor Oladipo, we have waited all this time. It's March now, right? March 4th, year of our Lord 2022. We weren't exactly sure. We knew, obviously, that Depot, after having surgery, was going to be laid up for a long time to start the regular season. We didn't exactly know, is he going to debut? I'm thinking about when the season was starting. Is he going to debut like around January, around the All-Star break, which was just a couple of weeks ago? So, yeah, a couple of weeks after the All-Star break, Oladipo is finally going to make his Heat season debut. And, man, this is going to be tremendous. Oh, Manny, are people giving you crap about your shoes now? You realize, Mr. Chang, you got to be nice to him. He just had a birthday like 3 days ago. So March 1st, baby. March 1st, baby. This is actually the first day that he's worked this week because, we let him have like the first few days off to go hang out at Disney World. And then I'm having a conversation with Manny. he didn't even appreciate the time that he had at Disney World. He's complaining about all these LSU fans that were walking around. Guess it was spring break, so all the Louisianites, how do you call somebody from Louisiana? There were people from Louisiana walking around and, probably throwing Mardi Gras beads all over the place, wearing those purple and green, LSU shirts, and it bothered him a little bit. He's a big Florida Gator supporter, a Florida State Seminole supporter, Miami. I don't know what he is, but he was bothered by all the Louisiana people going around. David says, "Toughen up, Manny." Manny was telling me in the private chat. Oh, I want to see this, hear it. If you're able to pull this up, Manny, he told me he's got a great soundbite of Mike McDaniel, new Dolphins head coach, talking about Tua Tagovailoa. Pull that up for me. This is from the Pat McAfee show today.
Upon meeting Tua, it felt like he was a guy who is definitely better when you empower him and let him know that he's a guy. For the last 2 years, I've been on this show screaming like the mental toughness of what Tua has had to go through these last couple of years. Now, there's a lot of other litigation and accusations happening within the building that will all get settled and everything like that. But I think this is the first time we've heard anybody say, hey, Tua's a guy and we want him to be a guy. At what point did you realize, like, hey, this is how we're going to operate with the human that is Tua as opposed to just a player? And do you think that's like the modern new school thinking, like, hey, this is a human first as opposed to just a player?
Yeah, I think one's the exception, one's the rule. I think the exception is probably making people prove to you that they're good enough. I think that's kind of the exception. I think for the most part, the rule is people need support, especially now with all the spheres. We're making the most money we're making in the industry collectively, right?
Yes.
Because there's more access, there's more voices, there's narrative set by, hey, I think this, blah, and you have to answer for that. So that pull down, just on a human psyche, there's a ton of pressure. I know stories of players after a game walking into the locker room and immediately going to Twitter. So the stuff that players are wearing on a day-to-day basis, the pressure has evolved a little bit, and then you go through the psychological scope of scrolling stuff, search your name or something, and there's 15 good things and 3 terrible things, and how people's mind might not even see it. So all of these factors, to me, I think people need assets. People need vision set sometimes. There are, I don't know the percentage exception to the rule, but like I could tell, dude, you're a top 10 draft pick. This just in, you want to be good.
Breaking.
And you feel that other people are like, yo, be good.
Yeah.
And so like you got to put yourself in people's shoes and like identify with that. Wow, that must be tough. Okay, you take in all this stuff and like all I know about the kid is that he's genuine as all get out. He's a hard worker, and he has certain talents that are unique to the position. And I see all this stuff that I can from the vision of, okay, we can work with. He's in the club, and oh wow, he's been doing. What if he's confident while being in the club? The prerequisite club of the talent that you need to play the position and be a top starter of the NFL. He's in the club, so then where can we take him from there? That's all I see my job as, and all that other stuff is, I don't know, juggling nonsense. Like I'm a coach, so I need to coach him.
Honestly, it's rudimentary. He explained it in a really fun, interesting way. It really is. It's coaching 101. It's management 101. If you want to kind of draw a comparison to like other fields, because I know we can't all relate to being professional athletes, but when you're a coach, whether you're coaching a football team or you're managing a goddamn business, I think it's really important to try and create an environment psychologically where people want to work for you, want to play hard for you, feel wanted, and want to thrive. Right. And listen, I know we're talking about grown men playing a very violent sport. We're not talking about children at daycare. So you could say, oh, toughen up. You should toughen up and all that. But I get it, man. Anybody out there, whether you're a professional athlete or not, if you've ever worked for someone who clearly doesn't like you and isn't trying to make your life easier and put you in a position to succeed, it's a difficult thing. It can be a stressful thing. And I don't want to get sued here, but I think Brian Flores put Tua Tagovailoa in that situation. I say I don't want to get sued here because Flo is suing people left and right. How dare I defame Brian Flores? Listen, Brian Flores, clearly had mentally moved on from Tua Tagovailoa, as a lot of us did, but we don't coach the team. He had mentally moved on from Tua pretty early in Tua's tenure as a Miami Dolphin. Yes, Brooklyn Rob said it very well, by the way. You need to empower individuals for success. It's not a good feel if you work for someone who clearly doesn't like you and doesn't want you to succeed. He's hunting me right now. It doesn't put you in a situation where you're going to be at your best. Like I've worked for a lot of great bosses before. I have. I've worked for a couple of shitty bosses. Really, really bad bosses who just don't create that kind of an environment where me and other people could flourish. And it creates a bad situation. So, yeah, I do think Tua Tagovailoa, who I still believe has physical limitations, but now he's got a head coach who actually wants to accentuate his strengths while hiding his weaknesses and actually wants to create the sort of offensive environment, both personnel-wise and psychologically, that can help this guy succeed. So, yeah, comes down to this. You need to empower individuals for success. Flores wasn't doing that, at least not with Tua. I know some of the players did like him, but a lot of the defensive players really liked Flo. I think a lot of the offensive players didn't, and I certainly don't think Tua Tagovailoa liked Brian Flores very much. By the way, on that Pat McAfee show today, I haven't actually, I didn't get a chance to sit down and watch the entire thing unfold, but I watched a bunch of the clips that came out. I'm going to watch the whole thing back later. Mike McDaniel, on a personal level, still don't know if this guy can coach a lick as a head coach. He's got everything in front of him, 0-0. Okay. This could go very well. This could go horribly wrong. But as a human being, this guy's already won me over. When Mike McDaniel started to have a philosophical conversation with Pat about the future that was predicted and envisioned in the movie Back to the Future Part 2, where it's like, how come they have flying cars, but they didn't think that cell phones would be a big thing in the year 2015? That's all it takes to win me over. Back to the Future, arguably my favorite movie franchise, although the third one wasn't very good. First one, absolute classic. Second one, absolute classic. I love that whole vibe. I love that whole deal. So honestly, maybe I'm a little bit biased now towards Mike McDaniel. The guy could go 0-17 for the first 3 years, and I would still back the guy. I would still back the guy. Oh, man. Brooklyn Rob writes in, Flores was spoiled like all New England coaches, having Brady all those years. No idea how to develop quarterbacks. Well, no willingness to develop quarterbacks either, quite frankly. And by the way, you want to put, and let me, by the way, because I see it's already 1:58 p.m. At about 2 o'clock, we are going to be joined by Daniel Solana. He is the more talented member of the Solana family. You probably, you're aware of his brother, Alex or Alejandro Solana, who I know very well, executive producer of the Hawk and Crowder show. Daniel Solana, I find to be the better version of what the Solana family has to offer. I want to bring him on. He's going to come on in a couple minutes because he's a huge soccer fan, and he tweets about Inter Miami every time they play. And he's like one of the few South Florida soccer fans who actually watches Inter Miami games in an objective way, right? Because a lot of people out there who cover the team, they are just Beckham fanboys. They probably want to get a job with Inter Miami, so they give them this really watered down coverage where everything's great. Phil Neville's incredible. This franchise is awesome. David Beckham, the most handsome man on the planet. He might be, but all that kind of stuff. This guy actually gives you the real deal and the real scoop on Inter Miami. So he's going to be joining us in a couple of minutes, okay? Now, if you're talking about helping Tua Tagovailoa, something I would strongly consider doing because he's going to be released here, I would sign Amari Cooper, and I wouldn't overthink it. All right, so the Dallas Cowboys, they are going to release wide receiver Amari Cooper. They're not cutting him because he sucks. They're cutting him because they're broke, at least from a salary cap standpoint. He is guaranteed, is Amari Cooper, on his current contract. He's guaranteed $20 million next year, and the Cowboys are $21 million over the salary cap. So it's simple mathematics. If they cut him, there's not a lot of dead money. He's only going to count for $6 million as a cap hit if they cut him. So that's going to happen. Amari Cooper, one of the more talented wide receivers in football, another Alabama guy. So you can create like Tuscaloosa South down here in Miami. 8 touchdown catches last season, had nearly 1,000 yards on 86 catches, 15 games played, missed the last couple games because he tested positive for COVID. This guy can be a game changer, and he's still just 27 years old. I see some of the overthinking Dolphin fans out there, the wannabe amateur accountants who are trying to figure out, how can we save Stephen Ross, like $300,000 here? No, let's not sign good wide receivers. Let's think about who we can get for like $3 million. Who can we draft to get on a rookie deal? So instead of trying to save every penny of Stephen Ross's money, ask yourself a simple question. Can Amari Cooper help our limited offense and our limited quarterback? And the answer to both of those questions is yes. And the Dolphins do, by the way, have the most salary cap space in the entire National Football League. Now, his current deal is $20 million a season. He's going to be released. I'm sure he would want probably something close to that on a new deal. The Dolphins can afford it. And listen, if it's not Amari Cooper, I would try to trade for Calvin Ridley, or I would make damn sure I'm ready to draft an elite wide receiver if there is one to be had with the 29th overall pick. But I don't want you to overthink it. I see some people, even some colleagues of mine, who are like, no, this is why you don't need to sign Amari Cooper. I'm telling you, don't overthink it. This guy's still a great player. He can help the same way that I'm telling you. I'm opening up more and more to the idea that if you could get Saquon Barkley for a 4th or 5th round pick, I would take a stab at it. But all right, I want to talk to the most talented member of the Solana family. There he is. Daniel Solana is with us. Daniel, hope you can hear me, sir. Good afternoon. How are you? Oh. I think we lost the signal. Maybe he's not the more talented member of the Solana family, because I feel like if that was Alex Solana, he would have figured out how to get up here. Ray Grullon says we have plenty of Captain Arrow. No brainer. Get Cooper. I think he's. Hold on. There. I think Manny and I keep clicking it at the same time. Let me click it. Here we go. Daniel Solana, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
And Manny says, ask Daniel to give me a discount for my Peruvian supporters. A discount to what? I'm not exactly sure. But how are you, man?
Pretty good. But I think he might be referring to the big game coming up in a couple weeks between Uruguay and Peru.
Ooh, okay. I see what it, and I'm sure, will you be attending that?
I won't, but I will definitely be wearing my jersey and watching it at my home with my son. So big game.
How old is he now?
He turned 10 months a couple of days ago.
Crazy. Yeah, I was thinking like 3 or 4 months, because I remember the tweets when he was born. Time flies, man. I got a 4-year-old now. You're going to blink your eyes, and this kid's going to be driving. It's crazy.
I know. Trust me. And I can't even believe it. You and I played high school soccer together almost 20 years ago. And look, now we got kids, and it's crazy.
We are old and we are washed. Now, I was telling our viewers here, I'm so excited to chat with you because so many local soccer fans, Inter Miami supporters, even people who like claim to cover the team, so biased, won't give you the real story, won't give you a real analysis on tactics. Because I got to be real with you, man. Listen, I'm a local soccer fan. I'm a South Floridian. I've been wanting an MLS team here since the Fusion folded or went out of business or whatever it was. Like I had been, and I'm happy that the MLS is back. Don't get me wrong, But I got to tell you, man, entering into the third season, Inter Miami have mostly disappointed me, right? I mean, when they got to town, they promised us this amazing Dade County Stadium, which is that's still up in the air. Instead, they put a couple of metal bleachers up in the warehouse district in Fort Lauderdale. We've seen this franchise repeatedly because I think David Beckham loves to talk to his buddies in the British tabloids. You see them constantly getting linked to world-class players in the transfer windows. Like, oh, it's Messi coming here. Is Luis Suarez coming here? Instead, they sign every overweight member of the Higuain family, and they sign, a completely finished Blaise Matuidi. They kind of made the playoffs the first year because they basically let everybody into the playoffs the first year, didn't make the playoffs the second year. So I'm very disillusioned. Okay, so we're entering year 3 of Inter Miami. Are you as disappointed as I am about the state of this club so far?
Absolutely. I mean, I think back maybe 4 or 5 years when all the talk about Inter Miami started and Beckham was coming here and we were having all these meetings down at the Arch Center, we were promised as a fan base, a winning team, a team with a winning culture, good players, great international players coming in from Europe, whether they're old or not, doesn't matter. But we were promised something. And I think, in year 3, they just hadn't lived up to that hype that they created for themselves. You mentioned the stadium up in Fort Lauderdale. It's not the greatest. It is a nice stadium, but it does remind you a little bit of a high school stadium. It's got the metal bleachers, and understandable. So, they had to do it quickly because they needed a stadium to start playing. But, at the end of the day, it comes back to, we were promised something as a fan base, and they just haven't delivered so far.
Yeah, no, they absolutely haven't. Are you and another thing I didn't mention was, the first year they had that little salary cap issue, and they're still paying for that, literally and figuratively, right? Because they got fined, penalized heavily by Major League Soccer, some roster spot reductions. So they're kind of rebuilding their roster again. They've just started their third season. They had a 0-0 draw last week with Chicago. They play Austin FC this weekend. What's your take on what this team is going to look like this season, and what's it going to take for these guys to get back into the playoffs?
I really think that we have a better team than last year. I was very hard on Chris Henderson last year, and very hard on McDonough the year before, and clearly he just wasn't the right guy for the job, because that first year was a disaster. We didn't even sign a coach until about 2 weeks before the season. So, I do have, I think this team is going to be a lot better this year than they were last year. Henderson made a lot of moves, got rid of a lot of players. One of the big ones, one of the fan favorites, Lewis Morgan, he shipped them out to the Red Bulls. And I think at the end of the day, that was a good choice by him. He wasn't being used by Neville in his natural position, which is, winger. It doesn't matter right or left, but he's a winger. And, our coach was playing him as a right wing back. So not only, is he a lefty playing on the right side, but he's just not a defender. And it was just leaving a lot of holes back there. So, I think that was a good trade. I believe it gave us an international player spot, and that, we used that to bring somebody in. So, I think we do have better players on the team than last year. The common denominator, and we always talk about it, and I tweet about it all the time, it's Neville. And, he just doesn't seem to want to adapt to his team. He wants his team to adapt to his style of play. And, as much as the European teams, like to play with the wing backs, it's just not realistic in MLS. We don't have those types of players. They're fit, but they're just not technical enough, and they just don't seem to understand how to play the position.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that formation. I think you raise a good point about not adapting it to the players. Like, what would you like to see him do this season to try and get the most out of his roster?
Yeah, I think realistically, we need to move to a four, line of 4 in the back. We've got quite a few of good center backs that came in, promising young guys. And he can pair one of those young guys with Damian Lowe, who has been, a starter for the Jamaican national team for many years, and he has proven that he can play at a decent level. And he had an okay showing that first game. But, I think, Yedlin at the right back is a more natural position than to have him as a wing back. I really like the young kid, Noah. He had a rough, maybe first 20, 30 minutes, but you can see he's 17 and didn't look like it in the second half. And I was actually very upset that he took him out. I think, we should go to that 4 in the back. I really love Gregory as as your regista there as the 5. I compare him to, the Torreira of Inter Miami, but I think that's what he's got to be good at. And then, Mota, he showed a little bit of brilliance, but I think, maybe he came a little overhyped. We'll see. But I really would love to see, 4 in the back, 3 in the middle, Higuaín at the 10. And I want to see what Campana does with a quick forward like a Lassiter or maybe even a Robbie Robinson, when he's recovered from his injury. But I think the key to all this is to have that diamond in the middle where you have Gregory at the 5, Higuaín at the 10, Mota on one side, and then, whether it be Taylor or Mo Adams, who looks like a more, defensive center midfielder, I'm okay with either or. But the key is Higuaín at the 10. That's the key.
Yeah. This is the kind of breakdown you're not going to get from the Kool-Aid drinkers. We get the record set straight here by Daniel Solana. Is it true? I remember your brother Alex was telling me, a while back before the franchise even debuted, that you were like boycotting the idea of being a season ticket holder until they actually arrive in Dade County, because you're a Dade County guy like myself. Nothing against Broward, but this is supposedly Inter Miami. They've been promising a Dade County stadium for like 10 years, it seems like, and they haven't delivered on that. Is it true that you will not make the season ticket plunge until they're in Dade?
That's 100% true. I haven't even gone to a game.
Really?
From my home. I have not attended a game live. I'm going to try to get out to a few this year because, I want to get out there. But like you said, it's Inter Miami. We've been promised a stadium down here. We're waiting. And, as soon as they get the go ahead and they start selling season tickets for, the Miami Stadium, I will be first on the list. I've always said it. I'm even willing to give up my Heat season tickets for Inter Miami tickets when they come down here. Wow. That's how much I love soccer. And I will eventually love Inter Miami, as much as I love the Heat, but they just haven't been around for that long. I just don't understand this passionate fan base that we have for a team that, hasn't yet proven, that they're on that level that we want them to be. So,
yeah. No, amen to that. And by the way, you had mentioned at the top that we played high school football, or high school soccer, I should say, at the same time. You played at Archbishop Carroll. Actually, a relative of yours was on my team at Westminster Christian. People were asking how good I was. Spoiler alert: not very good. There was one thing. I had a very particular skill, Daniel, and I had a bunch of idiot coaches. I say a bunch of coaches because they kept getting fired because we didn't have very good coaches during that era. I had a bunch of coaches. I think only one of them ever figured out there was one thing that I was exceptionally good at, and that was man marking. Okay. Every now and then they realized if you put me, you tell me to mark the other team's best player, take him out of the game. I was capable of doing that. I was perfectly capable. I was also a decent free kick taker, but I didn't get a lot of set piece opportunities. Cardio was not my strong suit. And then the other thing was, I got to tell you, man, they say whatever kills you makes you, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But sometimes what doesn't kill you makes you weaker. And your Tio Julio, he ruined me. You guy, the father of Daniel's cousin who played with me. Like this dude would, and I love him. Like I say this with love. I don't have any ill will. But he would like heckle me during games. And I'm telling you, man, this is why I can understand why, Tua Tagovailoa wasn't in a great situation with Brian Flores. Tio Julio was my Brian Flores because he would knock my ego down so many pegs. By the time I was 17, I was finished.
And you only had to deal with him for 4 years. Imagine myself, I've known my whole life, and I've been playing soccer my whole life. And, he's been to a lot of the games, and he was just as hard on me when I was, 6 and 7 years old as he was on you as a high schooler. So, I guess it made me stronger. It didn't kill me. But he was a tough guy to impress on the field. Definitely.
He was my toughest critic. It's so funny, man. It's so nice to see again because we chat every now and then on social, and I'm around your brother way too often. Like I say, this is the more talented member of the Solana family here, but still, give your brother all my love, Daniel Solana. And by the way, let people know where they can follow you on Twitter, because honestly, with no disrespect to my good friend Austin Robillard, Solana here, Daniel, this is the guy you need to follow during Inter Miami games because he's going to give you the real story. Where can people follow you?
I believe just search Daniel Solana and it should come up. I don't remember my @ I think it's Daniel Solana _305 or 555. But if you search Daniel Solana, it should come up. And if not, they can scroll through one of our interactions and they can follow me there.
Tell Tio Julio he owes me like several million euros because I could have been like an amazing European player. I could be like, bouncing around from big club to big club, and he ruined me psychologically.
I'll let him know at one of our next asados. I'll let him know that that he owes you a lot.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, man.
All right, Don, appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
See ya. David asked, is his brother secretly watching during Hawk and Crowder? I hope so. It's not like he does any real work during the Hawk and Crowder show anyway. I would hope he's secretly watching. And yeah, David hit the nail on the head. So Donno was weak and did not toughen up. You've never been heckled by Tio Julio. You don't know what it was like, man. I got PTSD. That was tough, man. Oh, what's everybody drinking this afternoon, by the way? Friday is finally here. So I do have some weekend plans. Not only will I be heading up to the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Let me talk about that for a second. Put our great Quarterdeck poster on the screen here. My friends, UFC 272 is coming up tomorrow night at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. They've got every UFC pay-per-view for zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. We got the grudge match tomorrow night. I think this pay-per-view is going to sell very, very well because Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal have been doing the media rounds. They were yelling at each other on Stephen A. Smith. The press conferences have been great. But friends, I got a hot tip for you. If you order this one at home, they're going to charge you $75 a pop. If you go watch it at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, there's zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door to watch UFC 272 or any UFC pay-per-view fight. And while you're there, you enjoy the 2-for-1 drinks. 2-for-1 happy hour. That's a drink special that never ends. I'm going to be knocking down those 2-for-1 margaritas at the Quarterdeck this weekend. I'm either going to be at the Sawgrass or the Davie location. I haven't decided yet, but it's going to be one of those. I'm going to be knocking down 2-for-1 drinks, man. It's going to be so good. The food is so excellent at the Quarterdeck. The seafood is great. The buffalo shrimp is my favorite appetizer on planet Earth. I love the fresh mahi-mahi. The sushi is awesome. Build your own poke bowl. The sandwiches and burgers, man, are so, so good. And make sure you save room for dessert because the key lime cheesecake is the perfect way to finish every meal. So whether you're there to watch a big game or a big fight, make the Quarterdeck your home away from home. If you want to find the location nearest to you or peep their menu before you go, check them out online at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And guys, if you're looking for a place to get some action this weekend, whether you want to bet on the NFL, not the NFL, you couldn't bet on the NFL this weekend, but whether you want to bet on the NBA, the NHL, or bet on UFC 272, do it at our official sports book, BetUS.com. BetUS.com is America's favorite sports book. They're the 3-decade leader, 28 years they've been doing this. They've been around a very, very long time. They've stood the test of time. They're called America's favorite sports book because they have awesome customer service. They make it so easy for you. And we have the best bonus in the industry. When you sign up at BetUS.com, sign up today. It's a full-service sports book, and it's fully available in Florida. I'm telling you, this is like a cheat code for watching sports. If you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use that here. Yes, it's fully available in Florida, and we give you the best bonus in the industry. When you sign up with our code 5RSN125, that's 5RSN125, they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you deposit, for example, nice round number, $100, they're going to give you $125 of free play money on top of your deposit. You might be able to get through a whole weekend on free play money, depending on how much you deposit. How good is that? Whether you want to bet NBA, NHL, international soccer, UFC fights, boxing, live betting on all of it, by the way. Live betting is a game changer. It's so fun to bet games during games. Yeah, that's a great way to get an edge when you get your action. They also have a full casino right there on the website. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. The mobile phone version of the site works excellent, by the way. You can play blackjack for real money, play table games, slot games. It's all right at your fingertips. Sign up today with our code 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Oh, here we go. Here's Daniel in the chat. He says his Twitter handle. Make sure you follow him. Daniel S_555. And you were very welcome, sir. And at some point I'm going to bring Austin Robillard back on the show for a rebuttal. I wanted to get Daniel's take on the club because he's a great Twitter account to follow during games. Donno, mush someone in the fight tomorrow night. Probably a lot of people would like it if I mushed Colby Covington. He's not very well liked, Colby. I know that he rubbed some people the wrong way in the build up to this fight because he was talking a lot of trash about Masvidal's, his wife, his kids. I personally would not bring other people's kids into it. That's probably because Colby doesn't have any kids. So that's probably he just doesn't really understand what that boundary is about. But he brought Masvidal's kids into it. A lot of people don't like Colby, because of his political leanings and all that. He's kind of an unpopular guy. But if you want me to mush him, and I'm not doing this on purpose, but Colby Covington's going to win this fight, and I don't think he's going to have much problem doing it. To me, just his pace, his pressure, his cardio, he doesn't have the knockout power like Masvidal. I don't think Colby's going to knock him out. I'd be shocked if Colby knocked him out, but eventually that grind is going to wear on Masvidal, and if it gets into the later rounds, Colby is going to be using his wrestling. He's going to be using his volume to back Masvidal into a corner, and he's just the better fighter. I mean, Colby Covington he's so good. It's kind of like being Charles Barkley during the era of Michael Jordan. Like the only reason why he's not, welterweight champion of the world and probably never will be is because Kamaru Usman is just levels above everybody. But Colby is clearly the next guy. Like it's Usman, then it's Colby, and then it's everybody else below that. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Masvidal win this fight. And, he's Mr. 305. Miami loves him. He's got an awesome persona. He's a human highlight reel. I mean, Jorge Masvidal, when he put Ben Askren out a couple fights ago with that sick flying knee 5 seconds into the fight, that's one of the greatest highlights in UFC history. And it's not just the knees. Like Masvidal has one punch knockout power, and his striking can be a bit unpredictable. So maybe he can catch Colby with something. And he's got good cardio as well. Like Colby's gas tank is basically unparalleled. Masvidal's gas tank has really improved over the years. And he's got the longer reach, and he's got more knockout power, and he's really angry. Like, I think the big X factor in this fight is that these guys know each other so well because they used to be best friends. They used to be even roommates, okay? And their friendship has been over for like the past 3 or 4 years. They had this gigantic falling out. They hate each other like poison, and they get very emotional when talking about each other and talking to each other, especially Masvidal. Like, I feel like Colby has such like a manufactured, pro wrestling heel type of persona. Like, I feel like most of his trash talk kind of it's a little bit more designed, whereas Masvidal's more authentic. Like, legitimately, when Jorge Masvidal says that he wants to put Colby Covington into the emergency room, he's being 1,000% sincere. Like, I don't know if Covington necessarily feels the same way. I think he just wants to get his hand raised, get paid, and go home. But like, I'll tell you the difference between the two of these guys. Colby Covington, he wants to make a fat paycheck, and he wants, to solidify his legacy as one of the all-time great mixed martial artists. Jorge Masvidal, I think, would do this fight for free. Like, that's how much he hates Colby. I'm sure he's very happy to get paid and paid well, but if his only option in fighting Colby Covington would be, hey, you've got to fight this guy for free, we can't pay you, he hates him so much he would do it. That's how authentic he is about this. I think he wants to shut this guy up. I think that Masvidal is legitimately angry that Colby supposedly stiffed one of his coaches that was a great mutual friend between him and Masvidal, that Masvidal basically had this coach, you know, help Colby out with his boxing, and he's going to owe you 12 grand. Colby never paid him. He stiffed him. And that's supposedly what started this rift between the two, that Masvidal legitimately is mad about that. Masvidal is legitimately incensed that Colby has brought his children into the trash talk. I had a chance on our Combat Sports show 5 Rounds last night. By the way, please watch that. If you haven't watched that episode yet and you're interested in this fight, go to 5 Reasons YouTube and find our 5 Rounds episode from yesterday. I thought we had a great conversation about this event, and we had on as a guest one of the best writers in the business, Kevin Ioli from Yahoo Sports. And Kevin told this story about Masvidal, that Masvidal told Ioli that Jorge's 13-year-old daughter has been asking him, like, why is this guy you're fighting? Why does he keep talking about me? Like, I don't understand, like, why he's talking about your kids. Why is he talking about me? That shit hits, man. Like, I'm telling you. Now, you know, I'm a little bit different my situation. I've got a 4-year-old son. I've not seen anybody trash talk him at this point. If they did, I would be pissed. Okay, I would be like, if there were other like YouTube hosts out there who don't like me and like they brought my son into it, I'd be pissed, man. So yeah, and you know, his daughter, Masvidal's daughter, is old enough to hear all this stuff, and like my 4-year-old would have no idea, but his daughter, 13 years old, I'm sure, you know, she's on the internet, she sees this stuff, she watches the clips, and try having to explain that to your kid. I can't imagine that. I know our guy Tony 2 Times is a huge fight fan. I love his insight. He says Colby is a character. Masvidal is like the Dagestani guys. He takes everything to heart, doesn't believe in the trash talk publicity of enemies for hype and buddies after. Yeah. I can guarantee you that after this fight is over, these guys will not be hugging it out. This is not Covington versus Usman. When Covington fought Usman the last time back in the fall, like after the fight was over, he like embraced him and was like whispering sweet nothings in his ear and talking about how much he's doing it for the money, that was then, this is now. These guys will not be hugging it out. Like, even if Colby maybe wanted to, because he's like, hey, like I'm doing this, like Masvidal would slap him in the jaw. Like, that's not going to happen. So yeah, Tony's absolutely right about this. He says, that fight show gets legends. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we have a great time. It's a fun hour, but James needs a mic stand. I never even know, honestly, whatever you're saying about I never even noticed that, but I'll bring that up to him. That's funny. All right, man. I want to throw some shout outs before we get, and you know what? In the title of this episode, which I came up with the title very early this morning and hadn't had a lot of sleep. I'm going to be, I guest co-hosted. I was on with Joe Rose this morning because Zach Krantz is in Disney World. He's picking up where Manny left off. Ask Zach if he saw a lot of people from Louisiana there this weekend. But I was on with Joe Rose this morning, and I put part of the title in this episode is Saquon Barkley potentially to Miami. I would be more excited about Amari Cooper if they could get that done. But with Saquon Barkley, we had Hussam Patel on yesterday, and his Giants sources have told him that 4th round pick might not really be the price, that they're trying to create a bidding war. And if they make people think maybe you can get him for a 4th round pick, then you start to get offers. And then the 4th round picks become a 3rd round pick and a 2nd round pick. So I don't know if a 4th round pick would really be enough to get Saquon Barkley. If it was really just that, a 4th round pick, some people have even said a 5th round pick. And he's going to be, this would be a trade, not a free agent signing. And he's due to make about $7.2 million next year. That might be worth a flyer if that really is the price, like a 4th round pick for someone who is coming off injuries and didn't look the same last year, but then a full off season to recover. He's been 4 years in the NFL. His first 2 years, Saquon Barkley was absolutely elite. Second 2 years have been injury plagued. But maybe for a 4th round pick, if that's all it really took to acquire his services, you might want to consider it. But yeah, well, let me throw some shout outs before we wrap it up here. And by the way, everybody, we played one clip earlier today. If you haven't already, watch Mike McDaniel on with Pat McAfee. It's gold, Jerry, gold. I mean, Mike McDaniel is an entertaining fella. I don't know if he's going to succeed at this head coaching thing. I can't make any guarantees. I don't have a crystal ball. He's never done it before. He's, been a great offensive mind, assistant coach, all that. He's never been a head coach before. I can't guarantee you he succeeds, but even if he doesn't, I'm going to be rooting for the guy because he and I vibe, right? When he starts referencing Back to the Future Part 2, you've officially won Donno over. That's all it takes. If Brian Flores had done that, maybe he'd still be coaching here. I'm just saying. Just has Brian Flores ever seen Back to the Future? I don't know, but I know Mike McDaniel has. All right, huge shout out to everybody who tuned in today. Our guy David, yeah, Luka would trash talk me before anyone trash talks him. My kid already trash talks me. My kid, he makes bald jokes to me. Like, and honestly, whenever he makes a bald joke about me, I look at his hairline and I'm saying, kid, make the jokes while you can. You're cursed with the family hairline. Like even as a 4-year-old kid, like he's got all his hair, obviously, but you can tell when somebody's hairline is not like on point. You got like the really rounded corners. Like he's got the rounded corners. He can make fun of me now for being bald. In like 20 years, I'll be making fun of him right back. Okay. Oh, Jay, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome in, Jay. Welcome in, Tony, 2 times. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, like our guy Daniel, who also joined the show at DanielS_555. Make sure you follow him. Smooth, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, yeah, he loves the key lime cheesecake at the quarterdeck. That's the GOAT dessert, I'm telling you. I love cheesecake. I love key lime pie. Makes sense to combine them, right? That's, certain things I love don't necessarily need to combine. Like I love pineapple. And I also love pizza. I don't like them together. But key lime and cheesecake, I do like them together. That's a good combination. Brooklyn Rob, thank you so much. Mush going to make his own poke bowl staying on that diet. Yeah, I started, not that anybody really cares. Maybe you do care because you know what? Maybe what I've been doing diet-wise, maybe it can motivate anyone out there who's like been looking to shed some pounds. If I can do it, you can do it. Like, there's nothing special about me. Like if I'm disciplined enough to do this and try and better my life, because like my motivation was, I've got a young kid. I want to be as healthy as possible. I want to live as long as I possibly can. Going back about 5 months, my cholesterol was a little bit high and it kind of scared me straight. I'm like, you know what? Since the pandemic, I let myself go. I've just been eating whatever I wanted to. And it's catching up to me. Like I'm in my late 30s. You can't get away with some of this stuff. So, yeah, I started at 248 pounds in mid-October, and I'm down to 206 pounds at my last weigh-in yesterday morning. I was down from so I'm down, 42 pounds from 248 to 206. Actually, I think technically 247. It was like 240. So I'm down like 41 pounds. I think I was like 247.6 or something when I first started the diet. So I'm down more than 40 pounds. I feel better. I feel better about myself. It's just been all discipline, man. I'm not on like any of these gimmick diets. I'm not on like the cookie diet or the South Beach diet. Like I'm just, eating healthy foods, not eating anything fried. Since my cholesterol was a little bit high, I'm eating hardly any red meat. Every now and then I'll have a cheat day and I'll eat like some steak or something, but hardly any. A lot fewer carbs. Sometimes I'll eat like a little bit of rice, a lot of grilled meat, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, smaller portions. No sodas, just drink water. Once in a blue moon, I'll drink some alcohol. I'll cheat a little bit, but just stay disciplined. And yeah, I'm down 41 pounds. So if I can do it, you can do it, my bros. And yeah, the poke bowl at the quarterdeck perfectly fits the diet. And that's good, man. You're not going to gain any weight eating that. You're going to lose weight eating that. Let's see who else tuned in. Who else? I'll throw some shout outs. Juan, thank you so much. Big Ecuadorian supporter. Of course, our guy Daniel's from Ecuador. He loves Ecuadorian soccer. So the powers unite. Let's see who else. Scrolling up. Ray Grullon, my guy. Yeah, we have plenty of cap money or dineros. He says, no brainer to get Amari Cooper. Yeah, go ahead. Don't overthink it, man. That's what I see all these amateur accountants on Dolphins Twitter that are like, oh, no, too expensive. Like, don't worry about the price. Literally, no other team in the league has as much money under the cap as the Dolphins. And it's not like you don't need wide receivers. You do need wide receivers. Jalen Waddle and who else? I mean, Devontae Parker, really talented when he plays. Guy's always hurt, inconsistent. Will Fuller, he's probably not going to be back next year. That guy played like 3 snaps last year. Albert Wilson, Mike Gesicki is a great receiving tight end. He'll probably be back, but still, he's not technically a wide receiver. Yeah, man, if you can go out and get Amari Cooper, I'd go out and get Amari Cooper. Don't overthink it. Although, if Amari Cooper wants to play with like an elite quarterback, he may not want to come here, but we'll see. We'll see. There's worse places to be than Miami. Let's see who else. Doug E. Fresh. Great Scott. McDaniel is definitely putting extra juice into the flux capacitor. I've seen when I was in Hollywood, California years ago at the Universal Studios over there, which is like an actual, it's a theme. It's not like the theme park is not as good as the Universal Studios in Florida because it's like very, very small. But they've actually got the movie studio there, and you can do the tour, which is really cool, like the tram thing. So it was a good time. And they had like a bunch of, I think it was like 2013 when I was there. They had a bunch of the original props from Back to the Future Part 2. They had the hydrator where they put the pizza. They had, they had like one of like, there. I don't know if there's like really the original DeLorean because they've like restored them, but I think it was like one of the cars that they used in the movie that was like restored. They had a bunch of the props. It was really cool out there. And as a Back to the Future geek like myself, I loved it. Oh, and I got to find the photo and like post it later, but I actually have met in person Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, Marty and the Doc, and I took a photo with them about 3-4 years ago. Thrill of my life. Michael J. Fox could not be a nicer guy. He's obviously dealing with a lot with Parkinson's and stuff, but he looked great. He was out there. It was at like one of those Comic-Con things, and yeah, he was really, really nice dude. Jesse, the Doc, and Marty. I said Jesse because I was distracted. I see my guy Jesse Lockhart in here. I love this dude. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's see who else. Scrolling. We try to throw out as many shout outs as we can at the end of the show. Oh, our guy Trevor, TH from the 203. Great Heat win last night. Great team win. Tremendous team win. Tyler Hero is going to be scary in the playoffs. Absolutely frighteningly good in the playoffs. And Bam Adebayo. Bam had 30 points last night. For the last dozen games, been playing the best basketball of his career because Bam has finally figured out it's okay to be aggressive. It's okay to be assertive. And, he's always been assertive defensively, but offensively, going to the rim, going strong to the hoop. He's doing that now. And, obviously you like his individual matchup that he had last night and man against Andre Drummond, and he made the most of it. In fact, when you talk about the Heat potentially matching up with the Brooklyn Nets, maybe even in the first round of the playoffs, that's a really good matchup for Bam. He's going to make them pay. He's going to punish them. Not saying I want to match up with Brooklyn in the first round, because if they can get their shit together, that team can be really dangerous. Like they should not be an 8 seed. Like they shouldn't be, right? And at some point, Kyrie is going to be legally allowed to play home games again, right? So I don't want to see them in the first round. But I think the Heat should win that series, and Bam should thrive in that series. All right. I think that might do it for the shout outs. So huge thank you again to everybody who tuned in, Jay, I don't know if I think I did shout out Jay. Jay Smith, thank you so much. Says a little off topic, but anyone watching anything good series wise? I am watching Euphoria. I'm like an episode behind. That's like normally 38-year-old guy like me should not be interested in like a high school drama, which is basically what Euphoria is. But it's very good. Zendaya is incredible. I don't think I know the name of any of the other cast on the show, but all the actors in that show are really, really good. Really good storytelling. It's realistic. It's a little bit raunchy, which is probably realistic, right? So I think Euphoria is a great show. I'm not telling any great secrets there because that's obviously a very popular show. You probably know about that already. What else am I watching? I watched the first couple of episodes. I had to stop because my wife wants to watch the show with me and she's mad that I started it without her. But I'm watching Pam and Tommy on Hulu, or I started it at least. which is like the true story of, Pamela and Tommy Lee and the whole sex tape saga and stuff. I mean, it's pretty entertaining. Like, it's not going to win too many Emmys, I don't think, but it's a pretty good show. And Lily James and Sebastian Stan are really good in it. Not Joe Rogan, Seth Rogen is in it. So it's a pretty good show. You've probably seen promos and trailers for that. I'm enjoying that so far. And I'm trying to think, what else? Is there anything else I'm watching? Not a show, but Jay says no judgment. I'll check it out. Yeah, no, there's no reason to judge it. I mean, I assume you're talking about Euphoria. I mean, it's on HBO, so it's like if it was on like the CW or something, then you could judge me. But it's on HBO, and Zendaya is like one of the most famous like hip actors right now in Hollywood, and she's on the show, and it's a good show. You should check it out. Oh, yes, Tony 2 times. I do like this show. It's an Italian show, Southern Italian. So even if you speak Italian, you probably only understand like a third of what they say. But Gomorrah, which is about the Naples, Italy mafia. I am actually, Tony, I am a season behind on Gomorrah, but I do love it. I've seen the first 3 seasons in full. I thought they did Cheeto dirty at the end of the 3rd season. Like, I was so freaking mad at Sangue Blue and Jenny for what they did to Cheeto at the end of it. But that's a great show. It's like the first 2 seasons were especially good because Cheeto got like the ultimate freaking revenge at the end of the 2nd season. Like, they could have almost ended the show after that and it would have been satisfying, but they continue it. So 3rd season was also good. And like, I started the 4th season, like the first episode of it a few months back. And for some reason, like, because that's like a really intense, serious show. Like, you're not going to say like, oh, let me get my popcorn out and have a few laughs and watch Gomorrah. Like that show is serious, bro. So like, I started to watch the first episode of season 4 a few months back, and I was like 5-10 minutes into it. And I'm like, I'm not in the mood for it right now. Like, I'm going to get to it eventually. Like, I think I turned that off and I started watching like Cobra Kai new season. Like, I wasn't mentally prepared for how heavy that show is, but that's a really good show as well. So yeah. And so I'm only through 3 seasons. They have the 5th season out now on HBO Max. He says it was insane. I can't spoil anything, but you need to catch up. It is insane. All right. So I'm gonna catch up. And I am going to, I think tomorrow night, my wife and I are going to see The Batman. And I'm pumped. Batman is my favorite superhero by far. By far. And this movie's getting really good reviews. And it seems to have the type of tone that I like. I like my Batman to be, kind of dark and kind of serious, right? And it seems like they've got that vibe going, right? This is not going to be like Batman Forever with Jim Carrey, and this is not going to be like Batman and Robin with Schwarzenegger. I love Schwarzenegger, but that was a ridiculous movie. Like, this is going to be dark, serious Batman again. And I actually kind of like the fact that the movie's super long. Like, as long as you're telling a good story, I'm okay with a 3-hour movie. Like, you don't have to wrap everything up in, a minute and 55 or an hour, 55 minutes. Like, a 3 hour, as long as it's a good movie, it's okay. It's getting really good reviews. So I'm excited for that. We're going to see The Batman tomorrow. It's my favorite superhero. So I don't know if anybody's seen it yet in here. Please do not spoil it, because I will be watching it tomorrow. But yeah, that'll do it for us. Huge shout out to everybody who tuned in. And yeah, if you haven't already, smash the like button. Please smash the like button and make sure you subscribe to our channel at 5 Reasons Sports. And I will talk to you guys again. You know what? I was going to say I'll talk to you on Monday, but I don't know. If you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen this. I got jury duty Monday. I got to report to the Miami-Dade count. Oh, bite your tongue, Manny. Iron Man is not better than Batman. Iron Man died. Batman will live forever. But I got to go to jury duty Monday. I got to report to the Miami-Dade courthouse at 9 a.m. I don't know when I'm going to be finished. Like, I've done jury duty twice before. The first time I did it, it was like a half day. Like, they weren't going to select me. They sent my ass home probably around lunch. I'm hoping we get a day like that, because then the second time I did jury duty, I didn't get selected, but like I almost got selected because they kept calling me to the chambers. Like, now rise for the Honorable Judge McGillicuddy. I don't know what his name really was, but this was like 13, 14 years ago. But they actually they called me twice into the judge's chambers, and I could tell. And this was like, I think this one was for like a violent crime, like it was for like an armed robbery or something. And I could tell that how to get yourself out of jury duty. The thing is, though, if they like research me, because I've heard that like the lawyers, because they have access to like the names of the jury pool. If they research me, you have now incriminated me, because they may watch this video and they may say, this motherfucker was on YouTube trying to figure out how to get out of jury duty. So you're incriminating me, sir. You're incriminating me here. But yeah, so the second time I did jury duty, they kept calling me in to the judge's chambers, and I could tell that one side, because it was like for an armed robbery. I think that, and I can't remember exactly why, but based on the questions they were asking me, I got the sense that the prosecution wanted me as a juror and the defense did not. And they have to agree on people. So ultimately I got vetoed. Like ultimately I didn't get it, but it was like, I was there till like 5 p.m. It was like a full day. It was like a full 9 to 5. So I don't know if Monday is going to be a 9 to 5 or if it's going to be like a 9 to noon. If it's a 9 to noon, I will be here on Monday. If it's a 9 to 5, I won't be, because I'm going to have to do stuff in the afternoon. So maybe we'll talk to you Monday. Maybe we won't. But in the meantime, enjoy your weekends, my friends. We'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.